Hello everyone, my name is Edwin. Okay, today is I think this is about fourth or fifth rounds of webinar, and today's topic will be mainly more on the single board computers for industrial application. Some of the differentiation or next gen types of industrial boards. That means mostly what customers has been pandering for, has been looking at, has been requesting from many of the manufacturers when it comes to industrial application, not just a single board computer simply. They want things that can help make their life easier when it comes to customization, or when it comes to some add-on differentiation or add-on stuff that you may want to have it on the board level. So today I'll be covering more on this. I won't be covering too much on the actual product per se. Okay, so now first, when it comes to embedded boards, okay, there are many types of form factor. Okay, for example, as you can see from the picture here, from 1990 all the way to 2020. Okay, and there are a preliminary many different types of form factors that has been out and been pushed out since about 30-40 years ago. Some of the form factors has already what you call drop in popularity or die off. For example, PC104, though is still available, there are many different iterations like PC104, PCI104, PC104 Plus, and the PCIe 104. PCIe 104 has never actually taken off. The reason is that the connectors is not as rigid as the previous gen, so it was never taken off. It has never taken off. ETX, XTX was around during the time where there's ISA signal or PCIe signal during that time. No PCIe signal, sorry, there's ISA signal. So during that time, so now it's more or less phased out. Then you start to see things like COM Express, and then different versions of COM Express where they actually modify their pin define. Q7 also have their own pin define, and also right now is version 2. And the most recent change was this Smart 2.0 was released in 2016. Smart 2.1 has just been released in March this year. Okay, there are some changes in terms of the pin define, but more or less it's backward compatible. So you start to see a lot of new changes that's coming in, and you can see there's this new stuff called COM plus HPC. It's a COM Express new type. Previously we have Type 7. Right now we have an even newer version called COM plus HPC. This one will be slowly released around the second half of this year. It will come with 5 different sizes, 2 of them for COM plus HPC server, and 2 of them for COM plus HPC client. There'll be 2 variants, client and server. Okay, so 3 for client and 2 for server. So this is something that will be coming up next. Okay, new. Now, so what are the embedded boards that Advantech provide? This is not a comprehensive one. You see there's 2.5, 3.5, PC104, and many others. And we do even have others like UTX and a few. And all these different kind of embedded board, if you look at the popular one, UTX and UTX extension is just slightly a little bit bigger. Okay, this board concept actually came from the NUC, Intel NUC, but it's just on the board level. And from there, it's quite small, very compact, and the I/O, some of the I/O is actually at the coastline. Whereas PC104, no, they don't have the I/O on the coastline. It's a pin header, you got to pull it out. Okay, but you can actually stack for a PC104, but no longer popular. 2.5 inch and 3.5 inch are the popular one nowadays. 2.5 inch is like those normal 2.5 inch hard drive size. Okay, it's a Pico ITX. 3.5 inch more I/O is still till date the most popular form factor. Okay, and then 5.25 EBX. Okay, EBX or 5.25 inch has dropped in popularity. Nowadays you don't see that coming up too much because the cost of manufacturing this kind of board, more layers usually is higher. The cost is also higher, obviously. Mini ITX is quite close to that size. So in a way, nowadays people who want to go for EBX, they will choose to go for Mini ITX. EBX is something where unless I have some existing one which I need to upgrade, that I may look for it. I do not want to change my mechanical. So still till date, the most popular is 3.5 inch. Okay. And let's look at our differentiation, I'll discuss on the hardware first, then the customization that we've done there. The last part of the topic, I'll discuss about the software, some software tools that can help. Okay, now let's look at the hardware differentiation. When you buy or get an embedded board, okay, what differentiates us from most of our competitors? What differentiates us? Not price, not just price. There's actually many things that is on the board that differentiate us. So I'll give you a simple example. Okay, first look at PCB. Our board PCB thickness is 2 mm thick. We are not, okay, all the competitors that I've seen in the market, a vast majority are only 1.6 mm thick. It's thinner. Ours is thicker. Why? The thickness actually do impact in terms of the quality. Okay, besides talking about vibration, prevent of board bending. In actual fact, all these embedded board, internally there's a lot of layers. Tracing, PCB trace layer. And all these PCB traces, we have a thicker board, you can have a thicker trace. So the signal integrity is in actual fact better. Okay? And thermal performance, imagine when you're running the board, it's actually hot. So the trace actually, there's some expansion. So in a way, it's actually able to tolerate higher temperature. But then tolerating higher temperature is not just the board thickness, it's also dependent on the PCB type. So the PCB type that usually for Advantech, what we use, minimally TG150. The higher TG is transition to glass. The higher TG, the better it can tolerate against heat and also board bending. If your TG is lower, after a few years of usage, the board tends to bend a bit. Okay. In actual fact, board bending can be quite a big issue because hard to trace. It's usually signal integrity. End up, you do not know what is wrong with the board. It's very hard to trace the actual fault. 1 divided by 180, that's the maximum a board can tolerate before it starts to bend. Okay, so ours have a much more stricter PCB design. Next, ESD, electrostatic discharge. Okay, ESD basically is talking about 61-4-2. And ESD is separate into 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Most of the IPC companies in the market only qualify to ESD level 2, not level 4. Level 4 is quite strict. Okay, there's not as much tolerance. Okay, when you use level 4, in actual fact, for embedded applications, sometimes, be it you may be using it for certain sensitive deployments, like say rolling stock. Rolling stock, you have things like EN 50121-3-2, or even worse, -4, which is more for signaling. Those actually are very particular about ESD level. Okay? Medical, healthcare, life science, all these, they have, in order certain application or certain things, they need to meet some medical grade 60601-1-2 or 1-1-1. ESD is very important. Okay? And there are many others that where ESD, power substation, ESD also super important. So we actually qualify ours for level 4. Okay, now next, secured mounting. If you see some embedded board, right, the way they actually secure the heatsink is actually the press tip type. There are some that still use press tip type. Okay, we have seen that before. The risk of that is that when the heatsink and the processor, which is the hot part, they don't touch each other that securely, like a screw type. After a while, the thermal paste may actually evaporate or lose the connection, and then it become hot. You radiate the heat, and in fact, the lifespan of the board will drop. So ours is all secure. Ours is all screw mount. Okay. Capacitors, we use even higher tolerance X7R type solid cap. We don't use the Y5V type solid cap. Okay, the higher tolerance X7R is very useful because the operating temperature range is far higher, and the frequency fluctuation when charge discharge is also more stable. It can also detect, it also can withstand higher range of frequencies, whereas the normal Wi-Fi-V not so much. So as you can see, Wi-Fi-V is already up to 85-degree operating temperature. If you're using a wide temperature board, it becomes borderline case. Okay, expansion. We have came out about 4 or 5 years ago. We came out with something called MIOe expansion. is actually a multi-input output extension, because as you know, on all these embedded board, typical expansion that is in the market most of the time is PCI 104 or PC 104 socket, right? There are quite a number of limitations. In the first place, PCI 104 is only PCI signal. What about PCIe signal? So what happened is that we came up with a new standard. We make it open. There are quite a small number of companies do follow it. Okay, that you can actually use our high density connector and create your own daughter board, like the picture you see on the left. I'll elaborate more on this later. Okay, then comes to software add-on. Software add-on, software programmers, maybe you want to do some, say, GPIO control, interface with light sensor, you want to change your watchdog timer settings, everything. Instead of hard coding, you can use our iManager that can do this. It can be GUI format and give you the source code to make it easier for you to program it. We have a Wise Pass device on. That is a remote management software. Basically, you can dial it in and check status of your hardware. Say, for example, or maybe your hardware can trigger if they feel something is wrong. They trigger an alert to you. You set the rule engine. And we also do a lot of customization in terms of the BIOS. Okay, we are willing to do that. In fact, we have about 50 BIOS engineers in Advantech, which is quite big, quite a huge number of BIOS engineers. So we can do a lot of customization just on the BIOS side. Okay, now, so where we see the market, in actual fact, we sold quite a number of embedded board. We are number one in the world when it comes to embedded systems. Over 20% of our boards sold are actually white temperature, okay, and 15% of the boards sold do come with some form of conformal coating, okay, but the vast majorities are still standard boards, and some of the customization or ruggedization that you can see, white temp, conformal coating, IPC A601G, I'll elaborate more later, and other requirements like customers asking us for meeting certain vibration standards or something like that. Okay, now, hold on, I would like to mute all. Okay, so next. Okay, sorry. So let's go one by one. Some of the customization that we have done. So white temperature solution. Okay, when you look at white temperature solution, we basically separate the white temperature into two kind of category. When you look at white temperature, there are actually two types of testing approach. One approach is basically called thermal shock approach. Another approach is the real white temperature approach. You don't see that too often stated in the data sheet. You have to ask. Okay, so for example, when we select white temperature range, okay, we have to be very careful of component selection. Say, for example, just take a simple example, certain components are not rated to go that high. For example, Intel LAN have some of it that can go up to 80 degrees, 80 or 90 degrees, and there are some that can only go up to 70 degrees. So you have to select from there. For example, if I have a 825, maybe say IT210 chip, 210 chip. The 210 chip, I have IT as a postfix, or maybe AT as a postfix. AT is normal temp, IT is for white temp. Okay, so you have to select certain components for white temp. What we do is that after selection, we do some sort of flow term design. Flow term is a thermal simulation software where we try to spot which are the hot spot and then try to reallocate or realign the whole board where these components should go in order to make it withstand that high temp or low temp. Then after that, go for the actual test and then mass production. So we have two types of testing approach. Okay, two types of testing approach. One is called the Phoenix approach, and one is called Phoebus. It's basically our code name. Phoenix is basically called thermal cycling, thermal shock cycling. It basically, we take the board, we let it run 24 hours, and let it run by in terms of cycles. For example, at this temperature, for certain number of hours, then go up, then go down, then go up, and then go down, something in this manner, and stay at certain temperature. So we have many cycles. We can do it as much as 10 cycles. And then from there, we segregate the board into gold or platinum packages in terms of operating temperature. Okay, one big differentiation that Advantech has compared to most competitors or most of our vendors in the market, we do 100% testing. Every board that you have, are individually tested. Every board have their own test reports. Okay, we do not do what we call lot test, okay, or sorting test. Lot test in a sense is that, for example, if you order 200 sets of the board, some manufacturers may say, I take 50 sets and test. If that 50 set test, I pass the entire 200 set lot as pass the extended temperature test. Okay, ours no, we test that 200 boards. Okay, we have enough temperature chamber in order to test the 200 set boards. That's how strict we are in when it comes to this. Phoebus is an even more stricter standard. Okay, nowadays most people do not ask for Phoebus because it's quite costly. Okay, some of the components may need to change. So when it comes to market competition, you don't really, most of the time you don't really say always at negative or always at white temp. Typically, there's a tolerance to that. So, but then Phoebus, we have two process, qualification and manufacturing process, where in qualification, we can even go to 216 hours of testing. But when you do manufacturing, we can't do that much. We will do a 4 hours normal temp and a 32 hours white temp. Okay, this is a much more stringent test. Now, other standards that we have, strict design reliable manufacturing process. So we have things like for vibration shock corner bonding. We also meet a higher standard when it comes to PCB layout and design. Okay, IPC A610, and we also do different grades of conformal coating. Looking at layout design, PCB design and manufacturing. Okay, we are actually only, I'm not wrong, just one or two companies in entire Taiwan that actually has gone for certification. IPC A610G class 3. Okay, this is not just to get a cert, the audit is quite frequent also. There's a lot of frequency of auditing. Okay, there's monthly quality testing, and we meet class 3 standard. So the layout design have to be stricter. The quality check also has to be stricter. And after that, send for third-party inspection tests and all this. So it is a very strict standard. There are companies, I mean, we do see some companies, frankly speaking, not many companies ask for this standard. Okay, in my years in Advantech, most of them never heard of this standard. Okay, but we do have encounters like companies, especially in the military or high vibration concern customers. They may ask for this. They say, hey, are you all certified to class 3? Which we are. Okay, majority are only class 2. Okay. To other standards like conformal coating. Conformal coating is something where there's additional cost to it because it's an add-on process where you spray a coat on the board to prevent it from moisture or rusting or some other or dirt dust issue that may cause conductivity. Okay, so conformal coating, when you do conformal coat, you can't coat the entire board. Certain areas are not allowed to be coated. Okay, this is quite standard, just to take note of this. And there are many types of conformal coating. So we look into in terms of conformal coating, what we do in our HQ is that we don't do spraying in the sense of just use something to spray or just use brush. We use machine to do it. So we will program the machine and then do the coating over. After that, use a UV light to check. And you can see from below, there are certain standards or regulations for conformal coating and temperature range that you can support. In conformal coating, basically, there are many types. In fact, I list out 4 types of conformal coating in the market. Okay, epoxy, uterine, acrylic, silicone. These are the 4 common types. Each has their own advantages and disadvantages. It's already listed there. At the end of this session, you may get my slides, and then you can just from there use it as a reference. Okay. Basically, epoxy and acrylic are the 2 most common, then followed by uterine and silicone. Okay, epoxy is something where I would say it's the best, but you can't repair. Because when you want to repair the board, right, you have to remove the coat. And that removal of the coat, there's always residues. It's very difficult to remove. So in a way, basically no warranty. In fact, when it comes to coating, it's very hard to remove the coat. So in that way, it becomes an issue when it comes to warranty. Just take note of it when it comes to conformal coating. Okay, uterine is in terms of repairability also very bad. But one thing to take note is that it's not really for high vibration area. And then acrylic is sensitive to solvent and rather flammable. Okay, though you can say it's good for repair, in actual fact, it's also not that easy to repair. It's easier if you compare to epoxy. Okay, and then another area about coatings that you have to think of the curing time. So uterine curing time is the longest. Okay, so just to take into account all these different type of conformal coating. Vibration. Look into vibration. Customers who ask and are very concerned about vibration are usually divided in a few categories. Those in the transportation, it can be on a train, it can be on a vehicle. Those in very high vibration machine, pick and trace, or maybe those who anything that tends to vibrate a lot. Then you have to worry. Some of the customers will say, hey, I want onboard RAM, I want onboard flash. Yes, these are good, but there are also cases where customers really worry that the chip may fall off or in order to harden the unit. So what can we do on that? Okay, so one approach is that you can choose whether you want to do corner bonding or underfill. Okay, how it works is that if you do corner bonding, you look at the top right hand side. These are more economical. You actually spray, actually not say spray, actually there's a glue that actually glue the corner of the chip. Okay, this is acting as a reinforcement when it's high vibrating. Obviously, your processor should be those on board one, not those that is socket type. Okay, so this is an economical approach. And then if assuming that you are a little bit more worried, more concerned, another option is underfill. Underfill, you can see from the photo below, is where I do the whole fill underneath. Basically, I spray underneath. So that is to cover the whole board level, to prevent the pin from degrading. So these two are only for worst case situation. Okay, now there are also customers who say, hey, I have onboard, I don't have onboard RAM. Nobody make a 32 gig RAM or a 16 gig RAM. I need to put a socket. So how should I, what can I do then? Okay, if your operating temperature is just 0 to 60, I can just do hot glue. I can hot glue the two joints to prevent it from moving. But if yours is white temperature, then I would suggest you use the MSDS Dow Corning 3140. This one is actually can withstand high temp, but it had to be done at the factory side. This is to glue it. Okay, remove it still possible. You got to pull it very hard. Okay, just be careful when you remove it. Okay, but then when you put it back, headache. So this is the things that you can also consider when you want to do for removal type of products. You may use this type of glues. Else, change the connector to lockable type. That's another approach. But then when you look at lockable, you have to see whether your board got a space to make it lockable, to change the connector. Some boards can be designed for it, some boards may not. Okay? Now, customization. Customization, to make it simpler. Previously, when people look into customization of a board, there are two approaches. One is called computer or module approach. That is where I have a brain, the brain of and that brain, the CPU module can be changed, can be swappable. Okay, I'll cover that later. So then, but doing that COM Express approach can take a long time because that CPU module do not have any I/O. It's basically you pull out to signals to interface board, maybe say a carrier board, and the interface can be a high-res connector, it can be other things, or maybe gold finger. So this means long design cycle. We do have customers who say, hey, my customer expect this to be generated out in a few months or maybe within 1 year. I have a short testing time. I need to customize certain things fast. Then this become another consideration. And to cut short the whole design cycle, we do have another option we call the MIOe approach. This is the one, multiple input-output extension approach. So how does this work? You take one about 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch motherboard. We have some that comes with this special high density Semtech connector. Okay, and this high density Semtech connector comes up with certain signal like PCIe, LPC, or USB, we can use to convert to other things. Okay, and then you create a daughter board and connect at the base to expand. Okay, why is this very useful? you are taking a ready board, everything manufactured already, everything can work. But maybe suddenly I have such a compact space, I need more LAN port, I need more COM port, I need more other stuff. I may just use a daughter board and plug it in. So either you make your own daughter board, or you can take our own standard daughter board. Below you can see we have quite a few standards daughter board that have used for different function. Okay, things like this is for 6COM, for surveillance, PoE, to connect to IP cameras. Okay, medical equipment that may need CAN bus, or even some other automation parts. Okay, so these are our standard boards that daughter boards can plug in. So your top board may be a Core i, maybe an Atom, maybe anything. You can just mix and match. Okay, or you want to customize your own. Okay, so what are the signals that pull out? If we have 4 times PCIe times 1. Okay, not all the boards have 4 times PCIe times 1. Some maybe only 2. It depends on the board that's been used, how many PCIe lanes we used up. Okay, so we have up to 4. We have LPC, and the low pin count, you can convert to COM. You can add more TPM. You can do other stuff. Then there's SM bars, display port. You can it's a digital display port, so you can actually change it to others, or USB power, or this kind of stuff. So you can actually do all these signals can be changed. So it depends on what kind of daughter board you want to design for. And if you feel that PCIe lanes not enough, maybe you want to add in a PCIe switch. Up to you. Okay, so it's very flexible customization. So this board has done quite good design. The main key purpose of this design is to make your own customization project faster. Your time to market is also faster. You're getting something that is ready. Okay, in fact, 80% done, or even 90% done, and you just focus on the carrier board. Just get the MIOe connector and then create your own module. Okay, all the screws are unified. The thermal are also concentrated, and it's cableless design. So these are a few good advantages. So you can create your own daughter board. Maybe for this project I use Atom. Maybe another project I use Core i. So it's up to you. It's swappable. Okay, so your inventory also is easier. So this is a very good concept. So if one can get all our design documents, we have it on our website. Okay, and the evaluation board, if you want that, we do have some other different type of designs. Some application they can use COM port. This more for IP cameras. This more for machines, either life science or others. Then we have other variants. So you can see there's so many. We even have one that's coming up that's for 10G. Okay, and with SFP also. Okay. Now, we've been discussing about hardware. Now let's look into software value add. So what are the software value add? We do provide many types of software services in terms of OS support. Typically, all our boards do support Windows. We do support Ubuntu, Linux. We do have some that we test regularly, like Fedora, Debian. Then we have some boards that also have QNX, BSP ready. Okay, I think about 4 or 5 boards, not all boards. Do check with your sales. Okay, we do have a software called WisePass Device On. This is a remote management software, which you can do remote KVM and many others. So I'll elaborate that in the later slide. So this WisePass Device On, how it works? We have an embedded controller on our boards, and that embedded controller can help do a lot of function. WisePass Device On may or may not use that. Okay, what it does is basically you can do things like I can create an agent, I install an agent onto my client board. Then at my backend server, it can be your own notebook also. I can link to that board. Okay, I can also group them. I can do remote on-off. I can do remote monitoring. What is the thermal? Is this thing running? Is the fan on? And then I can also do triggering. Triggering in the sense that if there's something out of the ordinary, maybe it's not on or when it's supposed to be, or some other faults that's been encountered, you can trigger you. You can do your own setting and then send to your phone, Android or iOS. Okay, we can also do over-the-air updates. Okay, and we also bundle the free version of McAfee embedded security or application control, and the free version of Acronis. Okay, there are some limitation to it. You can check with ourselves. And this is a very useful software. Why is it useful? For most of the customers, when you deploy all these systems or boards into your own equipment, and you deploy all over the place. If there's a remote utility that you can link to all these units, when you want to troubleshoot, something goes wrong, you can dial in, you can remote KVM in and check what is wrong. You do not need to send someone straight to site to fix it. So that is a remote management. It's a very useful tool. It can help the customer save money, frankly speaking. Okay, it can help you save money. You can save your maintenance cost in the way. Okay, so this is a very useful, and you know what's happening, so you're able to preempt before your customer call you to complain. Okay. BIOS customization. We've done quite a number of BIOS customization. That's one of our forte. Okay, and BIOS customization can be as simple as you just tell me what setting you want. I'll just set it for you. Or maybe I want to add in several add-on functions. Okay, and some customers, be it especially in the life science or military, they may want further customization, security concerns. So security concerns, you can use maybe say Intel boot guard if you're running an Intel processor that support boot guard. So basically what it does is that you can set your own setting. It protects your initial boot block, IBB. So it can prevent any rootkit or anything and you can encrypt it also. And you can choose the keys. That means I have a public key, your customers have a private key, you generate a hash through a TPM, and then both hash must match before you can update any BIOS. So it's a much more fail-safe approach. We also have BIOS guard if you want. Okay, these are things, and then maybe you want to have a very fast boot up time. We can remove certain functions, remove certain checks at the post. So these are things that we can do to customize the BIOS to fit your needs. Okay. We also have our embedded controller I mentioned earlier. These embedded controllers are found on all our boards, and we have a GUI and also sample codes that you can use to do interfacing. Like I want to do certain watchdog, triple watchdog, single watchdog. I want to adjust my GPIO. If I have a brightness sensor or some ways to adjust a smart fan, that kind of stuff, you can actually use this. Okay, it helps simplify your software programmers, because what it does is that this one actually interfaces a lot to the firmware, but we make it much more simplified. So your team can actually program it in the sense. Okay. So other than that, the multi-layer security, some of our boards come with TPM. The BIOS can be customized. And you also have McAfee for whitelisting. So these are, and we also provide you a blacklisting option if you want. Blacklisting is a normal antivirus. Whitelisting is where I only authorize certain software that's able to run on my system. Else, it can't be run on my system. So it's more of a protection, okay, against viruses and all this. So these are the multiple layer of security approach that we can provide to customers. Now, last few slides. Next is about COM Express, computer on module. Okay, in short, and COM Express, like I mentioned, is basically a CPU module that comes with RAM, come with all the necessary things like gigabit LAN or maybe audio. All the major controllers are on this CPU module, so that you basically, this is the hard heavy lifting. Most of the systems, okay, most of the items are on this board. You just need to build a carrier board to pull out the signal. Maybe you want to add on certain additional things like FPGA or certain additional stuff. You design your own carrier board. It's your own IP. Okay, we provide you the CPU module, and then you can switch and swap the CPU module in future when there's an upgrade. Okay, so the idea of a COM module is in this manner. So you decide, you customize your own. Maybe your entire board end up maybe round or some other unique shape. It's up to you. Okay, it's basically is that you design your own carrier board. Okay, there are many form factors. I split them into two major ones, either by a specific connector or gold finger. Gold finger will be those that slot in like your normal RAM or some other stuff. This slot in type, okay, gold finger. So the majority of customers that we see, COM Express group or Smart and Q7 group. Okay, now this is a breakdown of the different types. Okay, the COM Express, in fact, there's a Type 7 for server, and up and coming will be COM HPC. I will go through that HPC maybe in another session. Okay, for the gold finger, Smart and Q7 are quite popular nowadays. Smart is much more popular nowadays because Smart actually uses a MXN version 3 size, and it has more more pins that you can be reserved and more functionality. And Smart also have an advantage in the sense can tolerate higher power. It can be you can use an Atom or you can use an ARM. So there is flexibility. So Smart is getting more popular than Q7. That's what we see. Smart 2.1, basically, this was rectified in March. That means you don't see bots with 2.1 so soon. You may see that end of the year for newer platform, maybe like Hard Lake or some others. So Smart is 2.1 basically is it's just a minor add-on. Instead of just 12 GPIO, I have 14 GPIO. I can add in more MIPIs. Instead of just 2, I can have 4. I can have more PCIe lanes. Instead, I can have to 4. So, but that part will be interswap. So it's not much difference, frankly speaking. So Smart 2 is still the mainstay, but Smart 2.1 will be out soon. Okay. Now, what Advantech does that helps customers when it comes to Com Express design. Okay, frequent questions are customers who want to do Com Express. They will usually ask the first few questions is, how's your carrier board schematic? Okay, what OS? Have you certified C, FCC? Besides just cost, your layout. This will help them design their own carrier board. So we have development board. Obviously, you can use that as a reference. Okay, and in our website we have this com.advantech.com. You can go in there and download all the schematics, download all the necessary information that you need to help you to do your design. It's a one-stop shop. Straight away, you can go down there and download everything. Helps you save your time. Okay, you can just type com.advantech.com and then you select the board that you're looking for. All the details are there. Okay, and then after you build your carrier board, my suggestion to most of our customers is that let us have your board design. Okay, and our HQ personnel, our HQ team, give them 1 to 2 weeks time. They will review a board design to make sure the probability of success is higher. That means if there's anything in the design they find a bit of concern on signal integrity or some other issues, they'll highlight and then return back to you. If you need NDA, no issue. We just process that, not an issue. This is to help you before you actually fabricate the board. Okay, so this is a free service anyway. So might as well use it. Okay, as a double check. Okay, so similarly, we have our iManager on board. So on our Com Express module, we all have iManager. So you can actually do all the modification that you require over here. Okay, now, so this is my last slide. So I will be taking some Q&A soon. But before that, okay, let me explain some upcoming webinar. Tomorrow we'll be having a webinar. Okay, tomorrow 11 to 12, you're in Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia. If it's your Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, it's 1 hour before. So this is more for the retail sector. So this is more for the retail segment. So more on post-COVID digitalization. So if you are keen, please register here. Okay. Now, another one will be, we also have another upcoming webinar on the 4th June. This is more on edge analytics or smart cities. This is more for equipment builders actually. Okay, this is more for people who want to design equipment, maybe for your own machine. It can be an industrial printer, it can be a PCR, it can be maybe say RF or radio or comms equipment. So I'll go more details on that. So this is more for equipment makers. Okay, that will be on 4th June. I don't have the link yet. I'll send the link to you all when it's available. So okay, so I come to the final part of my session.